Just to get started, how incrementally did you have to sort of plot out this performance? Because I feel like the first hour of this movie takes place very sort of almost clinically in a very realistic sort of setting, and then
Mm.
there is sort of this escalation into a kind of thriller
Mm.
melodrama.
Um, it was very well written, very well written, and there was a lot of attention to detail and authenticity that Scott had already put into it as a if you want a map to go from. And I knew that Steven filmed real quick and would whip through this, so my preparation was really exactly what you sort of hinted at. Is I kind of grafted, if you like, the journey and the sort of level of isolation and in obsession, and had it almost kind of color coded in my head, I suppose, so that I could hit it at any given time. Because obviously, you rarely film in sequence. So we were all over New York and all over the script at different times. So it was the levels of intensity that in a way was the challenge of the piece for me anyway. Giving him a enough of a kind of desperation, if you like, and also not to be so kind of crazed that you lost interest, that you felt distanced.
Sure, sure. Well, Steven seems to think of you, looking at just this and Contagion, these characters do share in common that a certain kind of ambiguous culpability and sort of an adversarial
Mm.
nature with who we might assume is the protagonist of the movie.
Yeah,
Like how does
that's interesting.
how,
Yeah.
how did he sort of or how did you guys sort of collaborate, and how do you sort of look at it? I mean, I feel like it almost is the definition of villains who don't nobody thinks they're a villain kind of situation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know whether that's a reflection of me or his perception of me, or whether it's more of a reflection on what interests both of us. I mean, what was intriguing to me about this piece is that the characters in it are all very whole, they're all flawed and real, and those to me offer the opportunity both as a viewer and as an actor, you know, cu- really curious characters, because to me they're the closest to the kind of people that we all are. I think that might be his greater sort of intrigue, that he likes the honesty of it.
Mm.
I'm talking about Stephen now.
Sure.
For me, I like, I've always enjoyed the idea that sort of everyone has secrets and everyone has dark sides, and characters are only interesting when they're three-dimensional. I remember when I first read it, I did call him up and I said, so is he the good guy or the bad guy? And he was like, that's the point. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to get over there and leave it up to everyone who sees it to make their own mind up.
Sure, sure. And this the debate that sort of goes on in this movie about sort of medication reminds me
Mm.
sort of the debate that's going on right now about violence in the media and how much it influences
Yeah.
people. I wonder how much you feel like maybe those two sort of ongoing conversations have in common, even if it's only in the sense that it's kind of unknowable where the responsibility
Mm.
lies. How responsible and who's responsible for what happens.
Responsibility is the key word. We've all got to be responsible. And I think we shy away from responsibility. I think we pass the buck of responsibility. We've all got to be responsible for ourselves, ultimately, to be, socially, to evolve socially. Um, and I think a lot of it's also to do with laziness. I think certainly the subject matter of this film, or one of the subject matters, is you can't get a shortcut. A shortcut isn't really gonna solve anything. You got to deal with the issue. And interestingly enough, even though I'm the psychiatrist, I go through a process of sort of self-analysis and knowledge
Sure.
that my patient also goes through.